This is the coffee pot at work. Listen to it perk. Look at the coffee as it gets darker and stronger. Smell the honest coffee smell. Ah.
I don't know why I went out today. The air was thicker than ever, and the sun was hot enough to boil the boys in the gutter. I crawled along the walkways that shudder beneath the airways and struggled to keep themselves aloft above the railways. Always. Which way? Ah, that's right. I found myself in the corner store, drifting back and forth in front of the fridges, dripping sweat like the condensation on the glass bottles. They brought them back, you know. Gone are plastics. It's all glass now. At least, that's what they call it. Truthfully, it's closer to the texture of skin. They make it in the mountains to the west of town. A handful of Rough Riders wandered up there a few decades back and never came back. Folk started to look for them, but they always came back empty-handed. At least, until Jervis Comcarian did his work. A gentleman by nature and a sleuth like in the old dime novels my pappy told me about. He found the Rough Riders and the abbey they built. The first Rough Rider monks. Not a drop of wine came from up on high, but plenty of skin glass, as I call it. I don't know what the recipe looks like, and frankly, I couldn't care less. A vessel. One thing built for another. Am I just a vessel? Are you? Who am I built for? I bought a sugary drink and 2 lemons. 1 swig, 1 bite. A dubious balance. I used the walkways to cross Center Market and found my way to the Laughing Wall. I remember hearing about the first face painted on the wall. They said a girl barely 10 years old scaled the outer frame of the walkways and leapt from the radiation shields to a crack in the wall. With one arm pinned in the crack, she used the other to spray a laughing face on the wall. Since then, one by one, the face is spreading. No one knows if the same girl, a woman now, is responsible. Hell, no one knows if a person is responsible at all. The face has a look to it, a feeling. No picture of the wall is ever quite the same as if the faces move on their own. It could be learning, replicating, absorbing the nature it observes. If that's the case, it must be a tangled nightmare of love-struck tourist rat, brain-dead coupled-up autociv cloned drones in the wall. Autocivs. Don't get me started on autocivs. I won't get myself started. I wonder why I went to the wall in the first place. I crawled around between their legs like a cat. They screamed and called for the walkway bulkmen. I'm not welcome there anymore. What a city, turning their own away. After the bulkmen cut me loose, I headed home. At least, that's what I've been told to call it. Home. There is no place like home. Unless your home is no place. If a home can be no place, what is a home? Is a building a home? A family? A place? A feeling? Is a home just a vessel for the vessel that is me? And if so, is a home just a vessel for the things inside the vessel that is me? I suppose you could say I was bringing my lemons home. The sun had set, and I pulled my moonlight blinds down on each one of my 19 windows. After the moon injection, it became twice the size and twice as bright. Damn thing can nearly blind you. I sank deep into the folds of my couch, letting it envelop my being. I was part of its genetic makeup, and it was a part of mine. We were one mass, black leather, skin, hair, cushions. What a seductive beast. With one hand I fiddled with my TV ring, and with the other I stroked my quarine. As the mindless program blared away, screaming at me, I brought the quarine to my lips and breathed in deep, feeling the smoke pour over my teeth like a waterfall crashing down on the rocks below.
"Are you not a martyr for men?"
The TV shouted.
"What is it you think you could become? When the sun rises each day, how far will you let your shadow stray? Your life is not yours, it belongs to the man, and to the woman, and to the self-proclaimed unidentifiables."
I drifted off for hours before spinning my TV ring to off and dragging myself to bed. I was once more enveloped. It's a shame inanimate objects aren't sexual. The next morning, sirens blared out 2 minutes before my alarms were set to go off, a frustrating awakening. I spent my 2 extra minutes wondering what the sirens were for. An auto sieve leaking oil near a hover bus stop, perhaps? Another pack of ostriches getting loose from the feather tops and causing a ruckus with the school children. Maybe a few gutter boys strayed too far above ground and found themselves beneath the heels and shined shoes of local patricians. At least in San Adrian, the money pigs do their own truffle hunting instead of hiding behind their legislation. The only city I've ever seen that cowers in fear when the wealthy kids roam the streets. My alarm shook me from my daydream. Daydream? Or was it a dream? If one has a daydream in the morning, still in bed, half asleep, is it not a proper dream? If not, where do we draw the arbitrary line between our subconscious and our conscious acrobatics? Had I been pumped full of numbing juice and lying limp on an operating slab, having the same daydream, would that qualify as a dream contender? If I were asleep but gained some consciousness in the heart of a dream, enough to feel myself in it, does that become a daydream? Questions for the scholars. I had precious little time to delve deep on such brainy topics. My weekend was quickly and pathetically coming to a close. Another 22 hours of freedom before the week began. I gracelessly rolled from bed and wormed my way into the kitchen. I hate a silent breakfast, so I took my therapy rock and tossed it at my therapy radio. The radio screen shattered brilliantly into thousands of crystalline shards, and from them echoed out the voice of Samuel Gall. Of course, nothing really shattered. The rock was still next to the fridge, resting on its charger, and the radio screen was still hanging on the wall intact. It's only for the feeling, when things seem to break. A healthy morning release. Samuel Gall is quite the woman. The child of a pair of brickmakers, she grew up in the mud-stained overalls of her father, but they didn't suit her. She was much too grand for that. After spending years outside of the supreme cities, she came back a different being than when she left. With only a bucket of dollars to her name and not a drop of experience, she talked her way into a late-night time slot on local radio. They paid her for traffic and news updates, the kind of stuff an autosieve could handle, but she smiled and agreed. She knew that by the time her show came on, the static heads at the station would be neck-deep in Shirley Temples and Highway Chili and too blitzed to monitor her work. It paid off. Her after-hours block of spiritual anti-blood quasi-Georgism speechcrafting interlaced with no-name populist interviews became a must-listen for everybody who's nobody in San Adrian. Not long after, the static heads caught on and cut her loose, but the name Samuel Gall was a station seller by then, and dying radio was tripping over itself to get her on the air. She earned herself a morning slot on the biggest radio broadcast this side of the Charleston deluge, and I never missed it. Maybe we'll listen to her together one day. Maybe we already have.
Quit tattling. tell you for the reason why they don't always know what they're talking about and maybe can a lie.